Back here on the red carpet for another awesome film. We have Dust and Ashes coming to you live here for the Twin Cities Film Fest Minnesota Short Showcase. I'm Blythe Whaley alongside Joshua Palmer, Josh Szewski. Did I say it right?
Yes.
And then we have dun, dun, dun.
Mike Dolliger, our costume designer.
That is so exciting. Well, you guys, how fun to get to show your film here. Let's kind of first get this out of the way.
Sure.
Can you give me a little brief synopsis on this film, Josh?
Yeah, so the film is about a future dystopian society where these people have been funneling children out of a city that is kind of eliminating children and other people who have various illnesses or ailments and are deemed unwhole. And so the film focuses on two brothers who are trying to kind of be a part of this underground railroad of sorts and run a community of outcasts, so to speak, who all are deemed unwhole and aren't a part of the society at large, and so they make their own society outside in this little village. And so it's a story of how one of the brothers, who's mute, is on this journey trying to save one of the children, and something goes wrong. Dun, dun.
So that's so exciting. So I'm pumped for everyone to get to see this film, but when we're talking about it, of course, filmmaking can be tough. Was there challenges that you guys kind of encountered? We'll pass this one on.
We filmed outdoors for everything. Yeah, so that's a challenge in itself. Like, we have to work with the weather, and we filmed next to a river, so sound is a big issue there. And one of our locations was like probably a half a mile into a forest, so like trekking all our gear out there was also difficult. We had a few really long shoot days just because of that, just big challenges of getting out to the locations and stuff. So, yeah.
So I saw that your film is for sure visually, man oh my, so appealing. So I'm pumped for people to get to experience that. But of course, also when that comes into play, you're talking about costume design. What was that like to be able to get these guys ready to look what they need to look like?
Well, the art direction was great, so I had a lot of really great inspiration to go off of to kind of put stuff together, for sure. Plus, getting headshots of the actors and things like that really help out to kind of base a costume around kind of, their physique and things like that. But the world was really, really well laid out, and so that makes things as a costume designer a lot easier to lay things out the way it should look on screen, for sure. Yeah.
Josh here, he wrote the script as well as acted the main role, and so his world building is incredible. And there's so much that goes into that. You don't even get all of it from the film because he has so much backstory to it, and that, like Mike said, it really does help allow for ease of translating anything because he had already done so much work. So I think we had pictures we'd be sending to each other, things that we were inspired by in some of his other writing that on the world itself, and that helped the direction in general, not just with costumes, but with the feeling of how things were to go and the movements of the different characters, all sorts of things.
So Josh, what was it like being able to come? I know you guys have worked together quite a bit, and that's exciting, but for you, what was that like to bring your story to life and knowing you wanted to have Josh help direct this one?
It was. I'd never done something this scale before, because this is kind of science fiction, especially on a low-budget short film. Just seeing the team put together, to see the story come to life was just, it just kind of blew my mind, because, the fact that we could pull this off here in Minnesota on a low budget, I loved watching all of it come together, and we had a fantastic team, so.
It's easy when you trust each other, when you're friends, you can have some of that trust factor going in. And there were times when during the shoot where we would come together and have a little moment where we'd be like, okay, is this still kind of what you're thinking, Mr. Writer? And he'd put on his different hat. and then we'd go back to that, and then he'd go back to being an actor, and so it was really fun because we can trust each other so much. It was a lot of an exercise of trust.
So was there an actual hat that you put on? No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. Yeah. That's what I would do. No. But for you guys to think about kind of that idea coming into play, how long did that process take for you to kind of have this idea to really get it on paper and make this film happen?
Well, I wrote a first draft probably back in like 2016, I think, and then I revised it, and then I was like, okay, this is ready to introduce to be produced, and so then I showed it to Josh, and then I was probably about 4 or 5 months, 6 months of pre-production where we were just like kind of meeting on an occasional basis just to like touch base and get our crew together, get our cast together. And then we shot it over the course of a month on like August, September. So it was like 2 or 3 different weekends. And then editing process was like, I want to say like, it took us like 9 months to put it together. So yeah, on the whole, it probably took us over like a year and a half maybe to really pull everything together. So.
Well, you guys, I'm so excited for your film to show here. Dust and Ashes. If you haven't met these guys, man, there's so much energy here in this room. You can feel it. But thanks, you guys, for being on the red carpet with us.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, you guys, don't go anywhere. There's more filmmakers joining me on the red carpet up next.